This is an after-school program podcast.
Welcome to the Home Studio Hangout podcast, where we explore what it's like building, running, and working out of a home studio with your hosts, Joshua Matotek, Andrew Simmons, and many guests in different areas of the music industry.
Welcome back to the Home Studio Hangout podcast. It's me, your boy, Andrew, and I'm here with my co-host,
Josh.
And we are here for another, little shorty episode. Before another interview, which we're stoked about. Today, we wanted to talk about quality, the idea of quality versus quantity. And it's something that it's a general idea, but it's not anything that you can't take and put in every part of your life. Josh, we were just talking about like caffeine intake, right? Like quantity of caffeine intake isn't necessarily great for you. And we're both kind of learning like how to navigate caffeine or like nicotine or just stimulant levels kind of in general. So versus what like the approach I was telling Josh, the approach that I've kind of taken is a more quality approach. So it's like I have 2 really great cups of coffee every day. And then like after 2:00, I just don't have any more caffeine. Which has kind of helped me deal with some stuff. I don't know, like Josh, what are some thoughts on that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, like I always was like severely addicted to caffeine, and then whenever I was diagnosed with ADHD, I learned that that's like basically why I always had to have so much caffeine. But like like when I was working at the car dealer, like there were days where I would have like 2 Bang Energies and be fine, which like isn't good,
Yeah.
So like I've just been trying to be conscious of that. And I noticed now that I'm consuming like way less. Like I was just telling Drew before we started recording, like I used to like drink a large cold brew like every single day. And then I would have like an energy drink in the afternoon. And like I can't even drink an entire cold brew now without like getting super anxious and like being all jittery and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't felt that way since I was literally in high school. So like it's really cool because like I'm not crashing as hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wake up and I don't even think about caffeine initially. It's always like, my brother will be like, "Oh, do you want to get coffee?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
Or like I'll realize at almost noon, like feeling a bit tired. I should probably go get some caffeine. It's not like I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, I'm dead."
Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny. We should save this conversation for whenever Nick comes on because he's in the same boat that I used to be in with caffeine. So like,
we'll bring it back up for sure.
Yeah, so like that's been a really cool thing. I feel like I could like I don't want to sound like one of those people who's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't express enough how much it's changed my life." But I do feel like I'm like, because like my mood and my energy level is more like level throughout the day, I might not have as like intense highs as I did before, but I feel like I could be more productive because I could be more consistent.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like
yesterday I was
it helps your focus. As a person with ADHD, it helps your focus like crazy.
Yeah, like, I was having issues with my sleep and stuff like that, which, definitely could be related to caffeine, but it never really affected me before. It's more of like a stress thing for me that it starts to get really bad. But like, I had a super busy weekend. I think I got like 7.5 hours of sleep over the course of Saturday and Sunday, which is not good, but I was at the studio all day.
Yeah.
So yesterday I woke up. I got up at like 8 or 8:30, which is like pretty early for me lately as I'm trying to like fix my sleep and like, really focus on all this. Cause like before I was crazy about my diet, which was cool, but like I was still suffering from all these other issues, So I'm trying to get those in order real quick before I hop back on the diet.
Yeah. That's smart.
And I was able to wake up at 8:30. I took my time getting ready for my day. And then I just sat down and I worked, and I was able to work until like 8:30 at night. I did 2 mixes, 2 productions, and by productions I mean it was mostly like finishing work, like the songs that we had. Actually, no, it was 3 mixes and 3 productions. That's what I did. Basically, think of like a really good demo, and then just edits, extra production moves,
cleanup work
like
mostly.
That. Yeah, it's not like I produced 3 full songs from just a vocal, But like that was actually like some of the most that I've done in a really, really long time, and I felt really good about it. And then today, I woke up early. There wasn't as much pressure, for the work that I had to do. So I was waiting to hear back from revisions. I was waiting on payment from this one person that I was supposed to get started on yesterday, and they ended up getting COVID. Thank God they already feel better, But that was kind of scary. So there was no pressure, and I just like took my time getting up, made myself breakfast, and went ahead, like wrapped up a couple more beats, rendered them out, put them in a pack, started sending them out. Like, all pretty typical stuff. But like, I feel like over the past couple months, like my life has had very little structure in it. And it's been hard to do, little things, but like, it's also a lot easier, like when you have ADHD, like to like hop on, like get your day going because you have a reason to.
For sure.
I was talking about it with my friend Corey last night. Like, he was like, dude, I just realized I haven't showered in almost 3 days. And I was like, that's gross. He's like, I don't have a reason to. He's like, I like, because right now, like, because of COVID and all that stuff, he's just working for his uncle. He has a CNC shop. So he wakes up and he goes to work, and then he sandblasts stuff. Like, he gets filthy, and then he does other machining stuff. So like, he gets filthy, and then he like, cleans himself up with that crazy, the spicy soap, I call it.
Yeah.
And
spicy soap.
Then he's beaten. He just wants to go home and relax, And I was like, that makes sense, because you don't have a reason to. And he was like, exactly. I just don't have a reason to, but I probably should, because I kind of feel disgusting, you know? And that's kind of how I feel every day that I wake up. It's like, okay, do I have a reason to get out of bed right now? Or can I lay here for 3 hours?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I feel that. So in talking about this quality versus quantity aspect, we talked about it with caffeine. Let's reframe it onto the aspects of songwriting, mixing, and maybe like production work a little bit with mixing, and then online presence stuff as well.
Yeah.
So in the case of songwriting, we'll start there. Quality versus quantity on that.
I think it goes both ways, man. Like, whenever I'm writing, like I'm always looking for like that initial source of inspiration, So like, I'll literally, like, there's days whenever like I'll make like 10 loops or have like 10 guitar parts made, or like whatever, just because I'm looking for that inspiration. And like it's like that lady who's the minimalist person, and she's like, does this spark joy?
Oh yeah, Marie Kondo.
Yeah. Oh man, like I might not live that way, but like I live that way when I'm songwriting. And like I even say that to the artists I work with, and they always kind of get a kick out of it, because I'll turn around like as I'm making a beat, and I'm like, does this spark joy? And like that's really what it is, though. Like, I want something that immediately grabs me, and then I finish it. Well, and if it doesn't grab me, then I throw it away. So in one way, like, yes, there is a lot of quantity as far as ideas that are started, but I make sure the ones I finish are all quality.
So yes, I think that's it's an and both, I think, for songwriting, and a lot of it is production as well. Like, this is kind of pretty much works for both of these things. Like you said, you want to move as quickly as possible on as many ideas as you can until you find the right idea, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you have an idea, so if you're working through some, like you said, you're working through a loop, and then something just hits you, you work on it until you run out of ideas. And as soon as you kind of start getting bored with it, save the session, name it something, move on to the next one. Like, in that moment, it's not necessarily it's not a quality, it's more of a quantity aspect. So you're moving through as many things as you can, and then you do things like you were talking about today, where you do basically like polish days where you go back through beats that you've kind of started or like half finished or been working on, and you say, all right, I don't like that one. Don't like that one. This one's really cool. Let's finish this one. And so then you take like a quality aspect and try to fully flesh out that thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of just like how I've been doing things lately, and it's been really cool. I do that when I'm like being hired, like this person just hired me to write like basically like a album full of tracks for them.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's the same thing. Like, all right, well, like what grabs my attention? All right, now I have 3 like, you know, verse chorus ideas I could send to them and have them pick one.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, like they might be like, oh, I like these 2 or I like all 3, you know. And then I go ahead and then I finish it and then I move on to like the next set of ideas. And so that's just kind of how I look at songwriting.
Yeah, we kind of did that, or you kind of did that whenever we went down to Lee and Justin for the first time. You came prepped with like 30. Some of them were done. Some of them were just ideas. And some of them were just like loops and song starters.
I showed up with 30 songs and we had 1 come out. Yeah. And actually, that's the only one from those 30 ideas that's actually like destined for release. I do have other plans for some of the other songs. Mm-hmm. Reworking production on some. I'm kind of tempted just to like strip them all down to just like guitar and then a vocal and like try to shop them or something like that.
Yeah, you could, or like a basic beat or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I don't know, production's such a personal thing based on the artist. You know,
mm-hmm.
like
it really is.
I think a good example of that would be like The Weeknd and like Ariana could both have like the same exact song come out, and
they would sound so different,
but the production would be fairly different. Like, well, I'm talking about like new Weeknd, like the whole 80s vibe. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they would just be produced completely differently.
Yeah, if
it was like 2015 Weeknd, it would be very similar. But yeah, you know, so I don't want to make things too personal whenever I'm like sending it out to different artists and stuff like that. So I might do that and see what comes of it. But yeah, like that's definitely like, you know, to go back to the point, like that's just kind of how I work is.
Well, and I feel like that's an approach that a lot of people don't take. Actually, I feel like some people get so there's like the meme of like how many unfinished songs do you have in a folder, right? And on one hand, I get it, right? It's like, yeah, maybe you should finish a song sometimes. I get that, but also kind of from the way we look at it is like not all of those songs were good and we stopped them before they got bad, before we wrote a bad song. Yeah, and on top of that, like it's all very like specific, you know? Like the things I sound good on, like typically Justin doesn't sound good on. Just like the things that he sounds good on, like I don't sound good on. Yeah. You know? Well, and then there's also like the timing is also another thing. It's like one song that you might have an idea for at that moment, and then you might lose all inspiration on that song, and then you come back like 6 months later and you're like, oh, this was that song I worked on. You start going through old tracks and stuff, and it's like, this is dope, and it's something that you started and you hated the first time.
Yeah, the last Cavern song that came out called Manic, that was sitting on my hard drive for like 6 or 7 months.
And it's good to have like those kinds of like deep hard drive amount of just unfinished tracks, right? Because I mean, how many times, I mean, even just like with Cavern or with Justin or with like anybody else, like, you know, people hit you up for beat packs or hit you up for loops or something like that, right? Just to be able to have 60 songs to be able to go, here's everything that I have right now.
Yeah,
just if something's cool, you can take it.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at right now. Like as I'm trying to do more in person, like especially hip hop sessions, like that was one of the cooler things. Like when I was out in LA, is like sitting down with the producer and they're just like, all right, and they open up like an Apple Note and they have all the MP3 saved and they're just playing each one, and then we're able to go, oh yeah, that one, you know.
Yeah.
And then we write on it and then move on to the next one, and so yeah that's kind of where I'm at with everything.
So so that's like songwriting and production. And then I think when you move to mixing, this is my opinion, I think it totally different outlook. In my opinion, I would say always focus on quality and try not to focus on quantity. when you're mixing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
I would say it's a total opposite viewpoint from production and songwriting. So like, and this is a reason why, like, if we're mixing engineers, why it's okay to have like a part-time job or something like that, because you want to take work and get songs that you love, that are sick, that the artists are going to take the most amount of time to like really go in on, and you want to make sure that they can sound the best they can possibly be, because if the mix sucks or the song flops, you know, like, then that's as sucky as it is, that's a reflection on you as a mixing engineer.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, there's a lot of people who like preach the whole thing about like trying to mix as many songs as they can in a day. Like, I know that like the Six Figure Home Studio guys talk about that a lot.
I think it's more of the Nail the Mix guys.
Well, I mean, they're all kind of the same, but you know, and it's like, yeah, that's cool, but like at the end of the day, like the best mix engineers I know don't have like a fully fleshed out template.
No, I mean, even Lee's template isn't fully fleshed out.
No, not anymore, especially. No. And like
it's very flexible.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, like I had the opportunity to watch, you know, my friend Seth like mix a few songs, and that was crazy because like he doesn't, like, he has like his go-tos loaded in, but they're all turned off, and then like most of the time he doesn't even use them, you know. And like what makes him fast is that he's done this for, you know, the better part of a decade, if not longer now. So he's fast because he makes decisions faster than you.
Yes. And
you know, like,
yeah,
like
he knows what quality decisions need to be made, because he's done those quality decisions for 10 years at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, I hate the idea of like trying to speed up your process by any way other than you've done it so many times that you're now faster, because like template mixing is trash. Like, I'm like, sorry, Billy Decker, like you're way more successful than I'll probably ever be, but I hate that idea so much. And like all of my favorite mix engineers do not just drop everything into a template, tweak a few things, and print the master. Like, I think that's honestly garbage.
Even guys like Baines and Tizio, they have a template, but it's not that specific.
And if you listen to those dudes, like every single one of Baines' mixes sounds different. He uses the same chain on Young Thug every single time when he's recording him, but like those mixes always sound slightly different because he cares. I mean, also, like, you're working with Young Thug, you have to care. But the only way that you get to work with Young Thug is if you don't just like try to pump out quantity as a mix engineer.
Exactly.
You know?
And like, I think quantity comes with experience, and when it comes to mixing, quantity comes with experience and quality comes with intentionality, right?
Yeah. Like the way I look at it, like especially templates, is like your template should assist you in making decisions faster instead of compromising.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
You shouldn't be making moves on your template because that's what you normally do. You should be making moves on your template because that's what sounds right.
Bro, I mixed 2 Cavern songs yesterday, right? The first song, I sucked a bunch of 2K out of the vocal, and I ran the Slate Modern 1176 and the LA2A from Slate, which I never really run the LA2A on a main vocal, but it sounded right for that.
Yeah.
The second mix, I boosted 2K by almost 3 dB, and all I used was a distressor on Optim mode.
Those are so different.
They're completely different. It's the same artist, the same vocal chain, and the same genre. Like,
yeah, I mean that's a good example of like.
And then I said it in the group chat, and my friends who are much better than me said, these are some of the best mixes we've heard from you. It's like, well, yeah, because like I just took the extra 5 minutes, you know? I mean, especially when you're talking about like vocals, you know, you can typically get away with the same chains for something like, you know, a kick drum, especially if we're talking about like hip hop, you know, where it's mostly just about like transient designing essentially, you know, and like harmonics, like,
and you're sliding EQs slightly depending on what the original sound source sounds like.
Yeah. And like, it's no big deal. But like even like the master chain, like I was kind of using the same master chain because I kind of figured it out, and then completely derailed that yesterday. And on on all 3 mixes, I ran a different master chain, and they came out way better than the ones I've been doing forever. Like I just hate the idea of like doing the same things because they kind of work, instead of like every time you sit down trying to make the best vocal that you've ever made,
Yeah.
Like you could keep that template whenever you're serving.
For sure. Yeah. Well, and even then, like guys like that, their templates are so versatile that they're also not afraid to, like, they'll have like 4 different EQs in a stack, but that's because these are like the 4 different EQs or 4 different compressors that they normally use. It's not their 4 different compressors that they're going to use on that track every single time. It's so they can easily go, is this one the one? Is this one the one? And then they try it. And then they go, nope, it's not the one. Turn it off. Go to the next one. Is this one the one? And they mess around with it. Nope, not the one. Yeah, so it's like that kind of template mixing is a much more flexible style of template mixing, not I have this EQ, this compressor stacked with this and this de-esser, and those are what I'm going to use every single time.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I don't know, man. Like I think that people kind of get into this mindset of like, oh, well, they're hiring me because like they like this mix, so I need to make this song sound like this. And it's like, no, like just mix the song how you would like to mix the song, that specific song, and like they're going to be happy. Like they're hiring you for a reason.
They're hiring you for the quality aspect.
And all 3 of those mixes I sent out, the revisions were only about levels, and I forgot to make an edit on one of the Cavern songs since we tracked it on Saturday. And I copied and pasted it, and then I made the edit in the first pre-chorus, but I didn't make it in the second chorus.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, happens.
Which that feels really good.
They're
being
paying
told
you for the
like,
quality aspect of it. They're paying you to make that song the best version of that song. They're not paying you to get that song, quote unquote, mixed in a day. Yeah,
like nobody said, oh, this bass is like overwhelming, and it's because I'm using the same bass template I use from another song. It's like. Like I feel like I get less revisions now that I don't really use a mix template. Like my mix template is literally just nothing. Somehow one of the Cubase like effect presets got loaded onto my main vocal bus. So I still haven't saved that template, but I have to take them off each time, and then I just have like my favorite master plugins like all muted besides Elevate. I mix into the limiter, but it's pretty clean. So
I'm going in to make a new Ableton template, like a writing template for me, and I'm gonna have like 3 different drum kits like on like on 3 different MIDI tracks, and be like, this is this kind of kit, this is this kind of kit, this is this kind of kit, and then I'm gonna have like 5 or 6 different kicks, snares, and everything like that.
Yeah, I've been on such an anti-template kick that I used to do that. I had like 5 different, like I had my go-to hyperpop kit, I had my go-to hip hop kit, all that. Now, like, I just choose on my samples.
So the other thing I was going to do is do a separate track with just an empty simpler plugin on it. So that once I do, like, if I make like a kick pattern, I'm like, but I'm just not feeling this kick. I'll drag the MIDI down and then just try. So the pattern stays the same, and then I just try a bunch of different samples on it.
That is the one thing that I have now. I just have kick, snare, and hat samplers loaded up. But
yeah, that's great. And that way you can write, you can get patterns down quick.
Yeah. Well, then, on top of that, I don't even really use Ableton that much. Like, once I found out about the Cubase,
the Cubase drum stuff is cool.
You could drag in your samplers or your samples, right? And so that'll make a new audio track, and then the sample will land wherever your cursor is. You just highlight those samples. So I'll drag them in one after another, and then I'll highlight all my samples, go to audio, create sampler tracks, and then it makes sampler tracks for all of them.
Oh, that's pretty sick. And that it puts them on like different.
Yeah, because every time I would accidentally open up the wrong sampler, and then I drag a kick onto my hi-hat labeled one, or I would forget to open it up. So I go to drag it in, then I have to open it up and then drag it in. It was just a pain. Yeah. So like doing it this way is so much faster.
That's really tight. I kind of wish Ableton did something like a quick, like, make a drum rack out of these samples, kind of thing. That is really cool though.
Hey everyone, I wanted to tell you about a great company called That Pitch. Have you ever had some leftover song ideas you just didn't know what to do with? Or maybe you needed to flex that writing muscle, but you still need to get paid? enter That Pitch, a sync licensing company that pitches your productions directly to their exclusive list of clients. That Pitch has already paid out over $120,000 to its members since October of 2020. They provide production advice, business training, and other resources to make your songs better. Go to thatpitch.com to sign up and use the code HANGOUT for 20% off your monthly or yearly subscription.
Moving to the last little thought, and this is something I can tell you from experience and you can tell from a person who sees it. This is how you should approach online presence stuff. So like TikToks, so like posting like Instagram and that kind of thing, Reels maybe, any kind of YouTube video content or podcast content or things like that. I can say from a person that does it, and then but first I want to get your opinion on somebody who doesn't necessarily do it, but that like sees a lot of it happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have too much. Oh my gosh, it's about to fall off my desk. I really don't have too much of an opinion on it because it just varies, and it varies on what like platform you're on, and it depends on like what you're doing. Like if you're like a new artist, I think you should be posting whatever TikTok comes to mind first every single day, because there's no way to really gauge what people are actually gonna like. And I mean, okay, so I was on TikTok this morning, and like I follow a lot of comedy guys because who doesn't love comedy? This one dude, he's like, I'm reposting my most viral video from 2021, and it had like 10,000 views. It's the same video. If anything, because his account has grown, you would think that his followers have a more, like his audience is going to be more specified and more likely to engage with it. But like TikTok is legitimately all luck right now.
Yeah, it's a Wild West.
Yeah, so like I think you should just be posting whatever. For Instagram, I think it's a bit different. Like I don't like to spam Instagram. I actually only use Instagram for my portfolio right now. And then I post reels. Not reels. I post stories of everything.
Yeah.
I really like, my favorite part about Instagram stories is the fact that like, you know, it's kind of like Snapchat where it's just like a lot more personal. You know, it's dope. Like being able to like go through and I'm like, oh, what did, you know, Rex Kudo, I think that's his name. Like, what did he work on today?
Yeah.
You know, and like he, you know, I get to see him like, you know, flipping a sample in the studio or something like that. Like I love seeing things like that. You know, like I feel like Instagram's a little bit more authentic. TikTok is kind of more clickbaity, but like, I mean, I can't really offer advice on it because, you know, I'm not a social media manager.
For sure. But I like the idea of you coming from it as a person who is a consumer of this content, right? And more so me, where I come from the idea of like the creator of the content, you know?
Yeah.
So like that's actually a really good way to think about it. And this is something that me and Shama have learned looking at Instagram. Okay. This is actually really cool. Shama's Instagram followers, he went from 20 or 30K, which is like a lot. Went from 20 to 30K in January of 2020. And every week he posted a reel. His reels are pretty high quality because he has access to all of his own camera and he edits all of his own stuff. So one a week is honestly not a lot. That's actually pretty minimal.
Yeah.
Maybe I think at his peak, he might've been posting 2 a week. Right. And some of it was reusing old YouTube videos and like clipping out YouTube videos that we had made prior, you know, but so we're saying once or twice a week for a year. At the end of 2021, 2 years later, he hit 100K. That is crazy growth.
Yeah, it is.
In a year, he went from 20 to like 60.
Yeah.
And then went from 60 to 100 the next. He grew like 40K a year. That's insane growth.
But he also posts relevant content and it's unique content. Like his situation is going to be different than an artist, right?
Well,
it's like
not necessarily, because I feel like you can take the same mindset approach.
Yeah, like I mean, it really just comes like people can like sniff out authenticity, right? And so like whenever like I watch his stuff, like even though like I'm not religious, I still find them really not only like interesting but absolutely hilarious. You know, having like come up in the church and stuff like that. So I relate in a lot of ways. You know, and like I like having consumed his content, like I could tell you that like the reason why I follow him is because I find what he does to be worth watching, you know? And so like, I mean, that's ultimately what all this comes down to, you know, like, is it something that's worth watching? Like everybody's flooded with thousands of posts every single day. And it's like, they're going to choose based on what their particular needs are. He just so happened to find out that what he finds funny about, you know, like the church and stuff like that, you know, like other people also find funny. Yeah. Because we all had that unhinged guest pastor come in.
Exactly. You know? Just totally crazy.
And bro, like literally, I will forever watch his videos all because he decided to kick the microphone during that skit. And like,
dude, yeah.
Just, like, because like I literally like watched that happen once, you know? So like, like it's just relevant to my experiences I relate. So like, I think that's all it really comes down to. Like Justin had a TikTok kind of pop off. He got like 250,000 views on it. Because the song that he wrote was about, you know, this awful breakup that he went through, and all these people are commenting because they relate. Now he has tried the same thing again. He made a follow-up post from when the song came out and it didn't do as well. Even though the people that engaged with it were probably in his algorithm. Like TikTok's weird.
TikTok's wild.
And so that's why I say like just
I feel like TikTok, so as similar as they are, and this is from somebody who's just kind of watched both from like I don't even want to say from a business standpoint, but from a place of trying to understand it. I feel like though you basically have three short form content things right now, right? You have TikTok, you have Instagram Reels, and you have YouTube Shorts. YouTube is prioritizing shorts pretty highly, but I feel like YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels are trying to be more of like the high quality version of what TikTok is, right? I feel like both of those we prefer quality content over just random stuff that you see. Whereas TikTok, it's all about just as much as you can put into that algorithm as often as you can put it in.
Yeah, because like ultimately, like I believe right now, like I heard Larry talking about it, like apparently like TikTok is now not even putting you on the For You page until you have a certain amount of engagement with your followers.
Yep.
And the problem with TikTok is that when you open it up, it defaults to the For You page.
Yep.
And because of how the app's set up, you get stuck in the For You page and you're like, oh, I haven't even looked at like what the people I'm following have posted.
Yep.
You know? So
it auto slides to that For You side.
Yeah. And so like, I mean, also anybody who's listening to this, like make sure you check out what your homies are posting and always like, comment, and then click share and just copy the link.
And this is something new that changed on the Instagram algorithm. Save the little bookmark save button.
Yeah.
I started doing this as a test, right? So I run an Instagram account for my D&D thing that I do on the side. And I started running some split tests between saving stuff and not saving stuff. Even just by myself on my account hitting save and saving my own post, it like tripled my engagement.
Yeah, like
it's crazy how much they're prioritizing that save button.
Yeah, and like that's kind of how like TikTok is right now too, just with different means, you know.
So what I do is I have a homies folder, and anytime the homies post something that like you can make like save folders in Instagram, I like save it and I'll add to folder and I add to the homies folder. So if I want to go back and find something of theirs, I know where it's at.
That's genius.
Do it. Support your friends because it's hard out there. But yeah, I feel like TikTok is, like we said, the Wild West. You're just spitting as much stuff out as you possibly can, as quickly as you possibly can. Whereas Instagram and YouTube is much more of, I don't want to say like highbrow, but that's like the only way I can kind of like connect that thought, I guess, is like more quality content.
What'd you say?
It's like more highbrow, but it's not highbrow.
I don't know what that means. What'd you just call me?
What'd you just call me? From Beaver Tucky, baby. We don't know what highbrow means.
I don't know what highbrow means.
Just like quality, like really good, like I don't know, like white collar versus blue collar. Yeah, that's what highbrow means. But like I think Instagram and YouTube are kind of prioritizing that. And then you get into like YouTube videos, which I personally have been doing a lot of research on because I'm about to start dropping some. And it's more focused on like a certain level of quality, but outside of that, a level of consistency. And I think that's honestly for social media stuff, it's more important to have consistency as far as like post consistency and quality consistency than like posting every single day or posting once, you know, whatever your consistency is, do that thing. But it's not about like twice a day or just throwing stuff into the algorithm. Anyway, I don't want to go too much more on that because that's less of the idea of the podcast. So yeah, dude, good conversation. I feel like a lot of people could take a lot away from, especially the songwriting and production focus area. And the mixing stuff, honestly, because I feel like that's stuff that people don't necessarily talk about.
Bro, all right. I'll add in one more thing about the whole production thing.
Yeah.
I love Tiny, the producer.
Okay.
I think that he's brilliant. I was watching him break down like some productions and like cooking up from scratch and stuff like that. And he's like the type of dude where like he has these massive sounding tracks and there's like 7 tracks in the session. And
dude,
so like
I've been super into minimalist production.
Yeah, and so like that's how I've been. Like I used to have a lot of layers because like, you know, when they all go together it kind of sounds cool, but like lately I've just been really fascinated with, you know, how can I make this one guitar sound, you know, like everything I need it to, you know? And like that's how he is. He's like, all right, well, this song, you know, I have this bass, it's an Arturia preset, and I use it because it's perfect for this song. And he's like, then I have one synth and it's this preset that I tweaked and I used it because it's perfect for this song. Then he's like, then I have like these 5 drum samples and that's all I used on the song because that's what's perfect for the song. Like when he hears something, he just knows that it's going to be perfect. And like, that's something that I'm really striving for, is like being able to just like have minimal track counts. I think all the beats that I sent out today, like didn't have more than 15 tracks.
Well, and another thing is like not only knowing when to stop, but also knowing when to move on from that, from a sound that doesn't fit.
Oh yeah. I mean, for sure. Like the Cavern track that I did the other day, like there were probably like 70 tracks in it.
Yeah.
While like, you know, typically like the first song we ever did together, I think had like 20, you know, and like the one that I did after that with him though, it only had like 20, you know? So like including vocals, you know? So like, it just depends on the song, but like being able to make something huge from just a few little sounds is like something I find really interesting. And it once again goes for like the quality over quantity thing.
For sure. No, that's a great point. Dude, Josh, thanks for coming to talk about a little bit of something a little different today. I think this is like there's some really good takeaways in here for people that are just getting started and trying to think about anything from songwriting to mixing template ideas or, you know, social media stuff. I feel like there's a good bit of info here that people could take and run with.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, dude, thanks for coming. Thank you, listener, for listening. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.